Welcome back. You're watching NewsX. I'm Rishabh Gulati. Ladies and gentlemen, professional journalism versus social media warriors. What's supposed to be the difference? The difference is supposed to be, and it's subjective on whether we agree on how well it's applied or not, but it's supposed to be that when we here as professional journalists are told, look, there is a report that is being published that in the judge, a sitting judge of the High Court of Delhi, monies have been found, large sums of monies have been incidentally found due to a fire incident 5 or 6 years ago, and this is being published in a daily broadsheet. The first question I am supposed to ask my colleagues, reporters, correspondents, editors, who is going to verify whether such a report is true? Then if we are confident that yes, we have spoken to enough multiple people and they say yes, something like this has happened, but exactly what has happened is not known. The next question is, where is it on record that something like this has happened? Is there an FIR? Is there a case that has been filed? Is there an inquiry? Is there a statement that has been issued? Okay. So, if there is, then that's kosher news. This has happened. There's an official statement that has come. This is verified, and then we can have a conversation. Now, I bear the weight on my shoulders to understand that's a judgment call. I also bear the weight on shoulders understanding that too often in the past we jump to conclusions and jump on information and speculate and have what is then largely defined as media trials, and all sorts of aspersions fly around, and a Pandora's box of cacophonies is open, which leads us into all different directions. So that's something that requires care and caution as well. Now, if the premise is that there is absolutely nothing in it, this is a hopeless figment of imagination which has been planted somewhere and been picked up and it's gone ballistic, there is a recourse available to the individuals concerned or even to the judicial system of restraining that coverage immediately. So, it is possible to prevent the continuation of something that is completely nonsense. Now, let's try to examine first with my reporter Sambhav. Sambhav, now here we are several hours into this episode, this story. What do we have on fact, on record?
Now that we have a statement by the Supreme Court, wherein the Supreme Court has issued this statement on Justice Yashwant Varma of the Delhi High Court, and I quote, there is misinformation and rumors being spread with regard to the incident at the residence of Mr. Justice Yashwant Varma. And further it says the proposal for transfer of Mr. Justice Yashwant Varma, second senior most judge in the Delhi High Court and a member of the Collegium, to his parent High Court, that is the Allahabad High Court, is independent and separate from in-house inquiry procedure, unquote. This is what the official statement.
Let me finish that. Let me finish that. Finish the entire statement. Let's read out the entire thing, please, Sambhav.
Absolutely. And further it says the proposal was examined by the Collegium comprising the Chief Justice of India and 4 senior most judges of the Supreme Court on 20th of March 2025, and thereafter letters were written to the consultee judges of the Supreme Court, Chief Justices of the High Court concerned, and Mr. Justice Yashwant Varma, and also responses received will be examined, and thereupon the Collegium will pass a resolution.
Okay, that's the full statement. Now, what this statement confirms to us, Sambhav, is that there is indeed an in-house inquiry procedure underway. Now, it doesn't say on what matter an in-house inquiry has been ordered? Do we have any idea whether we'll be told what this in-house inquiry is about?
No, we do not have any idea, and we have reported it very cautiously since beginning on this story, and we have restrained ourselves to jump to any conclusion, as you rightly pointed out, since the beginning of this episode, since this morning. And absolutely, what we have, what we had back then and what we have right now, we have reported the same exactly. What happened.
Okay, so let me draw the facts online. We do have a record in the Delhi Fire Service that tells us that on 30 Tughlaq Road at 11:35 at night, a phone call was received of a fire that took place. The phone call was responded to within 9 minutes. Fire tenders arrived at 30 Tughlaq Road. They have put on record that a storeroom was on fire. It was a minor fire which was doused in approximately 1 hour 56 minutes. And it was stationery and domestic items which were affected, no casualties. That's what's on record. We are being told that there is a diary entry of the Delhi police on a similar vein, but we do not have access to the diary entry. That's the fact on record. Now we have a statement from the Supreme Court which has said, in effect, that the transfer of the said judge to the Allahabad High Court, which took place in a meeting that was held on the 20th of March, is a matter independent and separate of an inquiry that is taking place. It does not say on what matter an inquiry is taking place. This is the intervening night of the 14th of March and the 15th of March when that fire took place. Now, the allegation that has been made is that when the fire tender officers arrived on site, they in this purported storeroom did not merely find stationery, they found large amounts of cash, some we are being told which was also smoldering or on fire. But there is no official record or official statement of any such matter. The official record says stationery and domestic items. It does not say cash at any stage whatsoever. We know the judge in question has not taken court today. We know that he is not available for comment or inquiry. Judges are generally not available for comment and inquiry, but you have to try. Now, this is the fact on record. Everything else is happening in a vacuum of information. But if there was absolutely no truth to the matter, the judge has recourse to have such what would potentially be libelous information being discussed and published everywhere quashed, and orders from the courts can come to that effect. In the past have indeed come on that effect. So, I have set the caveats that given this is on official record, beyond that we will have to be careful of what we can speculate on and what we can't. So, let us open up this conversation. Professor Madhav Nalapat, editorial director of the Sunday Guardian, with us on the broadcast. Sanjay Chadda is with us, Kapil Midan with us, A.K. Singh with us, all our Supreme Court lawyers. Let me start with Mr. Chadda. Mr. Chadda, now you are a lawyer, you understand this better than I do. Okay, I have been told by a few retired judges and lawyers today that I am splitting hairs in such a serious matter. I would rather be accused of hair splitting than of hyperbole and hyperventilation. Now, what do you make of what is going on? What do we do with this in the vacuum of information that we have?
All right. First of all, I think the news which came in the morning today in Times of India, TOI, where they have very categorically mentioned that a huge amount of money was found. I feel Times of India is a responsible newspaper of this country, and it has covered everything, and there is no vacuum as such. Now, why? Now there are two very, very important aspects which I would like to say here. One is that this leads to two things. One is the transfer, which has been not liked by many of the lawyers, but that is what the Collegium can do at present, number one. And number two, what is being done, that is in-house inquiry, because in the year 1999, a Supreme Court itself has carved out this in-house procedure, that in cases where there is a corruption case, there is any impropriety issue pertaining to a judge of any constitutional court. Constitutional court means High Court and Supreme Court. So in cases where this is there will be an in-house procedure, there will be an in-house inquiry which will be conducted.
Okay.
So there is no vacuum. One line. Second is that things are very clear. They're not going to explain everything that this much thing has been given to us. It has to be in camera.
Okay. So like I said at the beginning of this telecast, as an editor of a news channel, the first question I have to ask is this a complete nonsense rumor, or is there something to it? And then you ask around and you find out, yes, there is something to it. The next question you have to ask is, what is available on record? So the answer to the first question is, yes, there is something to it. The answer to the second question is, there is nothing available on record, not from the police, not from the fire service, not from the court, and not from the said judge in question. That is the caveat that I am putting out there. So now let get in Kapil Madan into this conversation. Mr. Madan, now what is reasonable? What is reasonable in terms of proper procedure? Because obviously a person has the right to give an explanation. They can claim, I have no idea. They can claim it was planted. They can claim somebody else did it. I was not in town. They have a reasonable right to offer an explanation and should be given a reasonable time to offer that explanation. So we have to work within reason, and then of course trust that the procedures are underway currently. We simply don't know what's going on. But what would be reasonable?
So, Rishabh, let me say this with a sense of responsibility, is that what is reasonable at this point in time is that no one, including all media houses or lawyers, should, indulge in speculation. Now, what we have is, we saw some initial reports in the morning wherein it was said that, allegedly some amount of cash has been recovered. And in fact, if we were to believe those reports also say that the family members etc. were not present at that particular moment. You have also very candidly shown and discussed about the recovery memos made by the police, and now we also have a explanation statement by the chief of the fire department, who has said that there is no recovery of cash. Now, at this point in time, I would just say, as someone who practices criminal law very closely, is that having a speculation in the media, having a narrative in the media, and having a media trial where you basically the discussion itself causes an immense amount of harm to the reputation of any individual. I would just say here, assume if for a minute now you have two conflicting reports, one which came in the morning which says that some recovery happened. This second one that came in the evening that said, no recovery have happened.
Okay, so I want to interject here for the sake of propriety. There's a difference between recovery, which is to say that monies were extricated from a place, versus monies were seen at a place. Go ahead, sir. Finish your thought.
Allow me to only give an explanation. Within a span of some 8-9 hours, we have virtually tarnished the reputation of a sitting judge, without there being anything on record either by the fire department, without there being anything on record by the police authorities, without there being anything on record by the Collegium, who have conclusively said anything. So my request, and very humble request, would be, and I was reading some reports, where Mr. Salve has also commented on this issue. At this point in time, I think we should, repose our trust and confidence in the judiciary. And because what I am given to understand is that the Supreme Court Collegium is looking into this issue. At this point in time, I think, as a responsible lawyer, as a someone who speaks in the media, and I would also request all our brothers and sisters from the media fraternity, let's don't speculate.
I completely agree with you.
Not only in this case. In almost every criminal case, we see that in media, people sometimes pronounce someone guilty on the TV channel or a show.
Okay, so but the question is, what is reasonable? I completely agree with you, which is why I'm taking pains to highlight that there is nothing on record. For anybody watching this telecast, nobody has come out and suggested at any point of time that something other than a fire took place at 30 Tughlaq Road on the intervening night of the 14th and 15th. What we can infer from the Supreme Court statement is that there is an in-house inquiry. What is the subject matter of this in-house inquiry? We do not know. When was this in-house inquiry started? We do not know. When did it convene? Who it has heard from? We do not know. That's what the public information currently stands. But I reiterate, it is possible that if any individual feels, any individual, let alone a sitting judge, feels, or if the courts feel that idle speculation is happening on a totally non-existent piece of information, they can stop that information from being discussed, published, or telecast. Now, then leaves us the very difficult conundrum: how do we either pretend it doesn't happen until we are told something happened and we are already 6 days later? Do we simply wait? Do we do nothing? Or can we put the facts on record and then figure it out as we go along? It's a tough one. I don't have a straight answer for you. This is, in my career, unprecedented. I don't have a blueprint for you that this happened 5 years ago and this is how it should be handled. It's unprecedented. Let me pick up this conversation and try to get Professor Nalapat in. Professor Nalapat, so on fact, we have nothing. There could be nothing substantive whatsoever. We could be chasing up a garden path and all be in what we call bhed chal and getting confused, and bed and kitchen sink and baby bath water, everything being mixed up. Or indeed, we can infer that indeed, in fact, there is an in-house inquiry committee which the Supreme Court is looking at. They have suggested misinformation is being spread, but that seems to be alluding to the linking of the transfer order and the in-house inquiry. I don't know. Do we need clarity? Should somebody come and tell us that if this is happening or not happening?
Look, Rishabh, I'd like to say very clearly that I think that the NewsX channel has acted responsibly in merely stating the bare facts, and now we have a report from the fire department. All said and done, the huge newspaper carried a report, which frankly it was not an eyewitness report. It was obviously based on hearsay evidence, and now we have the fire department saying that nothing of the kind happened. I don't know which of these is true, but it is very possible that we may be misjudging Justice Varma, and we may be misjudging an innocent person. I have got immense respect for the judiciary, and respect for the judiciary is central in a democracy. I am therefore confident that the Collegium, that the Supreme Court Collegium, especially led by the Chief Justice, will take a completely unbiased view of the matter, look into all the bare facts, and then come out with its conclusions in the earliest possible time. They are aware of speculation, they are aware of public interest, and I think the Chief Justice has acted, correctly by not prematurely, if I may say so, putting a gag order, unless the fire becomes very substantial. But we may be misjudging an innocent person, and overall, as I repeat, respect for judiciary is among the central pillars of a democracy. And the people, I think overall, our people do respect the Indian judiciary. So from my side, I have respected the judiciary all through my career as a journalist, and I believe that the Chief Justice of India will set up a fact-finding committee that will determine the facts of the case, and based on what is discovered by the fact-finding committee, including the response from the justice himself, I think the CGI and his colleagues will take a view.
Okay, so
and I do think, Rishabh, you're being quite responsible in ensuring that premature speculation is avoided, and I think, frankly, that we the Chief Justice also acted correctly in
Okay.
not prematurely issuing a gag order. Once a report is in, and if it confirms the presumption of innocence, then obviously there will be such an order. But as of now, we cannot say whether there's such a presumption or not.
Okay.
All we can say is that possibly, and I would like to say this, possibly Justice Varma is being unfairly judged. And if I may say so,
Okay.
respect for judiciary among the people is central to the health of our democracy. And in my view, frankly, I'm glad that NewsX acted responsibly in the matter. Thank you.
Okay. So, like I said, that is the perpetual conundrum because there is no blueprint for this matter. It is in my professional career unheard of. I've never come across an incident such as this, that such as an allegation or such as a report that has been published, which then needs to be digested or analyzed or in fact understood and verified. The attempts at verification are exactly what we've just told you. There is no official word anywhere that suggests that all the conversation doing the rounds of large amounts of money and some of it is burning and video taken, that such exists. But at the same time, there are enough people within heavily entrenched in the judicial system, people who have been senior advocates for 30-40 years, people who are former judges, people who are former judges of the Delhi High Court, who are incensed and very upset. Some are suggesting that we are not being harsh enough or alacritous enough. Now, whether they are privy to certain information that I am not, I don't know. And in that I don't know, I go to A.K. Singh. A.K. Singh, we don't know. A lot of people are talking about it. We can't pretend that something is not happening because the conversation is happening, but at the same time we have no facts to base the conversation on. So what do we do?
See, my suggestion is it's too early and it's too premature to say anything about this but at the same time, since as a citizen, everyone has the right to know because the matter is around 6 to 7 days old and the fire was broke out on the intervening night of 14th and 15th and 7 days is passed and no calculative or any clear statement has been given by anyone, either by the fire department or by the Supreme Court, and only everything is based on the speculation. Someone is talking about the recovery of cash, someone is saying about the nothing has been recovered, someone is saying the family was not there, someone is saying the family was there. So everything is based on the speculation. And I think we must avoid such kind of speculation until some certain reports from the source, from the genuine source comes out.
What is the genuine source in this case? It can't be the fire department for sure. I don't think the fire department will.
The matter is in-house inquiry before the Supreme Court. So I think the Supreme Court is the genuine source. Whatever the press release and whatever the information will be revealed by and report of the inquiry.
So it is reasonable to say
until that comes out. I think this
okay.
Is
So A.K. Singh, it is reasonable to say that let's be patient. Okay, if something has happened and there are seasoned people, including perhaps even the Chief Justice, who are seized of the matter, apprised of the matter, are looking responsibly into the matter. So let's be patient. So therefore, my question to you is, what is then a reasonable amount of time? Because let us assume that for a second, for the case of argument, that somebody has spotted something untoward who is a fire tender officer. He can't go to the press, stand outside and start leaking videos or photographs. So he will report to his senior, who will report to his or her senior, who eventually it will reach the Chief Justice's door. I don't know how long this has taken, whether this has happened in 2 hours, 24 hours, 3 days. We don't know at what point of time. For all we know, the Chief Justice could have heard about this yesterday or day before yesterday. We don't know for the first time. Then what is a reasonable time to receive a response from the judge in question? What is a reasonable time? Is it 2 hours, 2 days, 4 days, 7 days? What's the reasonable thing here, Mr. Singh?
See, there is no reasonability is defined anywhere as far as the time is concerned. But at least we must give some time to the court, to the inquiry.
Okay, fair enough. Mr. Chaddas, same question to you. What is reasonable? Because nobody is coming out and saying that nothing happened. What we are now told or understand that there is an in-house inquiry, but the in-house inquiry could be for anything under the sun. What the subject of the inquiry is, we have no idea. So, what is a reasonable ask of us of patience? What is the reasonable ask?
As my friend AK has just said, that there is nowhere it is defined as to what is the limit. But you will be surprised to note, please listen these words, very important. Earlier such inquiries, even the judges have not responded to such queries. There is an incident where a question was asked and rather a judge was asked to appear before the Supreme Court. He has avoided the appearance. This is also an incidence of the history. So we have to keep in mind, we have to look what exactly I want to say here. I would really appreciate what Kapil has said, that we must remain in our limit, no doubt about it. But as always stated, कि जो धुआं उठता है वो कहीं आग चिंगारी जरूर होती तभी धुआं उठता है, पहली चीज. दूसरी चीज, why this, all the chain of incidences which are there, we all are just asking right now a prudent inquiry, which I think has already started, should go on. Number one, in whether it is in-house, as we have said, in-house procedure is there for Supreme Court, which was evolved by itself in the year 1999. So that is there. But on the other hand, today another demand has been raised, and it has been it has been seen that everybody is talking about it, including the Vice President of the country has said that why not a specific and journal inquiry. A question came before, and even a person has also stated that if that kind of cash has come and found with a normal person, me, you, AK or Kapil, anybody, what will happen to that? Everybody knows. There will be a lot of hue and cry.
Okay, so in the conundrum, and I do say, and I began by saying, there is a vacuum of facts and information, okay, to us. There might be people who are completely seized of the facts and situation, who will be then seeking responses. Who was the fire tender guy? What did he actually see? Did he photograph something? Who was the police officer who made the diary entry? Did he visit the res? Some logic will have to be applied to assume or presume, and a particular judge can say, if indeed monies was that, I don't know what it was doing there. It was planted there. Anything, any conversation I have. Kapil, I'm going to run short of time, so I'm going to come to you quickly. My question then is on reasonableness, because we cannot put our head in the sand and pretend nothing is going on, because nobody is denying it either. Nobody is coming out and say this is all nonsense, nothing is happening. You and I both know there are very senior jurists, people who have been senior advocates for 30-40 years, the Supreme Court Bar Association president, okay, the vice president who's been a lawyer himself and practice in court. All of them are saying they are shocked by what is going on, and I am assuming they see fire where there is smoke as well.
So Rishabh, let me very responsibly once again say, what is reasonable in one particular case may not be reasonable in a different case. Here we are dealing with a situation where there are unverified, unproven allegations, conflicting reports, against a sitting High Court judge. Always remember that our judiciary is considered as one of the most important pillar of our democracy. And it is equally and the most important for everyone to ensure that our people's trust and confidence in the judiciary is retained. So therefore, I would say, in a situation like this, let's wait for the Supreme Court to officially make a statement. Let's don't speculate, because let me tell you, in a situation and in allegations like this, the mere speculation itself is a punishment for the person against whom these speculations are being talked about. The damage is already done. So at this point in time, in view of the conflicting reports, I think it is everyone's bounden duty to ensure that they remain vigilant they don't speculate, and they also, we all understand it's an important issue, but they should keep their emotions in check.
I think that's perfectly fair, that's perfectly reasonable, but it is also fair and reasonable to try to understand in public interest what has happened, if indeed something has happened. If nothing has happened, we can simply be told nothing has happened, and the matter goes away. If something indeed has happened, the yardstick has to be similar, it cannot be the same. But at the same time, we have to figure out how to not pretend that nothing has happened. At the same time, spell what do we know? And the truth right now is, right now we know nothing. Nobody has said on record, I found even 100 rupees. Now, without that, what do I genuinely discuss here that is not speculative? But I have to put this caveat out there that there are enough people who've been in the judiciary for a long, or the judicial system for decades, who are incensed with the current episode in question, and either they are clueless or misinformed as well, or indeed there is something troubling cooking, while at the same time we require patience for the process to play itself out before we are told exactly what has happened. I thank my guests for having a pretty mature and seasoned conversation on this subject. We take a break. See you in a minute.